the Spanish port city of Valencia, repaired, rebuilt and ready to once again welcome visitors from around the world, including those in the FIA karting paddock, as the Kartodromo International Lucas Guerrero once again hosts competitions, this time for the first round of the FIA Karting European Championship for the KZ and KZ2 categories. 80 of the world's best kart drivers have made the trip up into the Valencian hills above the city, all of them looking to get their gearbox European campaigns off to the best possible start. The open topics before racing include: can anyone match the performance seen in 2024 from the Sodi Kart Works team in KZ? And after a close finish the previous year, who will get the jump in KZ2, around a circuit that is well known to the international karting community for its close competition, chances for overtaking and testing sequence of corners. Also part of the paddock is the FIA Karting Academy-Trophy. After the seniors started their season a fortnight ago in Portimao, here in Spain it's the turn of the long-standing junior category to start their journey in Academy 2025. With 49 drivers from across the world competing this year, many of them know that a number of Academy Trophy junior winners have gone on to achieve great success both in karting and a myriad of single-seater and sports car disciplines. And so with the drivers focused on the competition ahead, it's time to go racing here in Spain for the start of the season in KZ, KZ2 and Academy Junior.
The Women in Motorsport Commission was founded in 2009 within the FIA to empower the participation of women in motorsport in all aspects, not just from the driver's perspective, but also in all the careers that are available around motorsport. Last year it was in Formula E, this year we're expanding to other championships such as TCR, WEC and also the World Rally Championship, and the idea is to introduce girls within that area to come and join and to know that different careers around motorsports exist. This year we have 2 seats available in the FIA Karting Academy Trophy, both in junior and seniors, and we're helping them, sponsoring them in their progress. This is a huge championship where you are racing globally with best of every country that the ASNs have selected. We're talking about juniors. There is Clelia Sodu from Italy, and there is Miyazaki from Austria that were actually chosen by their ASNs to represent their country, with Emma, who is our choice from the Women in Motorsport Commission. And if we go into the seniors, there's Eva Dorissen from Netherlands, who was our choice, but also there's Jana Pascal from South Africa, and Yu Haoxi that was chosen from the Chinese ASN, and then there's Annabelle Kennedy, who was chosen by the Australian ASN. So this is amazing to see both in juniors and seniors. We have 7 girls. It's a good participation. Of course, it's not 50%, but it's a very good progress, and I think I'm very happy about this. So if there are any girls watching and they are dreaming of a career in motorsport, they should see that there are these opportunities. So they can go out of their countries and race in an international level, and also from there prove their talent and then go up the ladder.
Let's go for a lap round Valencia with one of the favourites in KZ, Spain's Pedro Hiltbrand. A fast start to the lap sees the drivers tackle the long right-hander of turn 1, which tightens on exit before the flat kink of turn 2. The drivers are quickly on the brakes and down the gears for turns 3 and 4, an area often tricky at the start of races in an effort to avoid the curbs. The infield section starts with turn 5, immediately flowing into turn 6. A brave overtaking chance presents itself with the left-hander of turn 7. The circuit once again opens and flows through turns 8, 9 and 10. Setup choices for both gearing and dynamics are crucial for one of the best chances to overtake around this circuit, turn 11. Turns 12, 13 and 14 all test a driver's skill of balancing speed and positioning on track to ensure the best straight line velocity down the back straight into turns 15 and 16. Drivers will set themselves up for the last gasp chance of gaining positions into the chicane. Turns 17, 18 and 19 complete a lap here in Spain of this 1.428 kilometre circuit. Bright, sunny conditions greeted the 36 drivers who had qualified through to the final after 3 rounds of qualifying heats. For many of the drivers, this was the first time they had experienced an international karting final, and nerves were understandably high for all involved. Ahead of the drivers, 18 laps of the Karting International Lucas Guerrero to find the first winner of the year. Through the heats, 5 different drivers had tasted victory. On top of the pile would be Ecuador's Julian Rivera, whose 2 wins and a second place through the qualifying heats would give him pole position. Sweden's Erik Poulsen would line up alongside on the front row, whilst France's Maël Le Marchand and Mexico's Luis Nunez would be close behind on row 2. Starts are always a critical affair in Valencia, with plenty of areas to gain and lose spots in the first lap. Off the start, Rivera got away positively, looking across to those on the anti-pole side. However, that left the gap for Le Marchand to boldly go down the inside and take the lead on the brakes through turn 1. The drivers navigated their way through turn 2 relatively unscathed. Le Marchand from Rivera and Lithuania's Nojus Stasionis up from 5th on the grid. The second half of the field would have problems through the tight confines of turns 3 and 4, unfortunately leading to the retirements of Poland's Tomasz Czikaracki and South Africa's Emma Dowling. A shame for both, having fought through the heats to make it to the final grid of 36, but their days would go no further than lap 1. Back at the front, and Erik Poulsen was looking for a recovery, going past Stasionis into turn 7 and back up to 3rd on lap 2. The top 5 completed by Romania's Tudor Jurcan, looking to break away from the rest. Stasionis would reply with a move of his own a lap later, back down the inside of the Swede and back into the podium positions. This allowed Spain's Hernan Rodriguez to join the pack in 6th place. The battle for 3rd was not done. Later into turn 12, Poulsen regained past Stasionis. The back and forth between them had allowed Le Marchand and Rivera to have a lead of a second at the end of lap 3. The 2 drivers communicating with one another to keep working together through the first half. Lap 7, and with the field starting to spread out, Poulsen had set about closing in on Rivera. That progress was halted, however, as Stasionis, fastest driver on track, made the move for 3rd into turn 7. Could the altered order be effective in catching the leaders, though? The answer, yes. Stasionis showed they had the speed to close the gap, and by lap 11 had closed to Rivera. Turn 7 again would be the Lithuanians' chance to pounce, an assured move that would take the 510 up to 2nd place and in pursuit of race leader Le Marchand, who up to this point was undeterred by the movement of those behind. A lap later, cued by the sight of Stasionis starting to pull away from Rivera, Poulsen's charge towards a podium position stepped up a notch with a move on the Ecuadorian for 3rd. The pace of the only multiple heat winner from earlier in the weekend unfortunately was starting to fade ever so slightly, the hopes of a final win slipping away. With the laps ticking down, it was 2 groups with inside the top 5. Le Marchand and Stasionis for the race victory, Poulsen, Rivera and Rodriguez continuing to contend for the final spot on the podium. The penultimate lap. While Stasionis had closed on Le Marchand, Le Marchand's all-out approach, high corner entry speeds and balance of race management versus risk left no opportunity for the Lithuanian to go for the overtake. A superb performance that ensured that Maël Le Marchand could enter the final lap unchallenged to take the first round of the FIA Karting Academy Trophy season for 2025 in the junior category. A tremendous Sunday performance from Le Marchand, having won the last heat before the final. The momentum had taken the French driver to the top of the point standings by 9 ahead of Stasionis. An emotional victory. It was the first time a French competitor would stand on the top of the Academy podium since 2022, a win part of a title-winning year for Arthur Dorisson. Could another French winner be on the cards in 2025? The top 10 for Academy in Spain. Le Marchand wins from Stasionis and Poulsen. Rivera and Rodriguez score well in the top 5. Jurcan from Emilio Burns, Finley Lines, Luis Nunez and Oiva Vencegranta would all be classified well within the points-paying positions. A hard-fought win in Spain for Maël Le Marchand, with impressive overtaking seen by all 3 drivers on the podium. With races for both the senior and junior categories complete on the Iberian Peninsula, matters look set for another fascinating FIA Karting Academy Trophy season.
The result is very good for me and for the championship, and the race is beautiful for me, and it's magic to win a race international. The fight is in the Asian with the second and the third, and in international the fight is very impressive, and
Feeling pretty good. The qualifying could have been better. Got P4 overall, but I think I could have pulled it. That kind of disturbed me from having an easier race every single time starting P1. But I still managed to fight through, start P5 in the final. Could have started better, but it happens. The start was pretty easy. I made 2 positions. It was instantly P3, then had some fights between Poulsen and the other driver. I overtook them, had some fights with Poulsen a lot, fighted for like 3 laps, overtaking each other, and then I managed to run away and start chasing him.
Yeah, I got a real bad start and went down to like P6, but managed to go around the outside in the first corner. And then I had a little bit of fighting, and then I was P4 and overtook the guy from Ecuador and was P3 and managed to hold the place. Yeah, it would be really nice to finish P1. And Alfred Nilsson, he went P2 I think some years ago, and I'm gonna try to win the championship this year.
2024's European Championship KZ2 started at Motorland Aragon in conditions as hot as the battle at the front of the field. Round 1 went the way of Romania's Daniel Vasile for Birule ART, in a tight finish ahead of France's Matteo Spergel, racing with CPV Sport. The second and final round saw the drivers fall on Val Vibrato in Italy, with the title very much still up for grabs. A great weekend for Paulin's Maksim Orlov saw him take the round victory, but with consistency and second place in the final, the title of KZ2 European Champion would go to Spergel, part of a great effort by the team. The new season gathered many of the familiar faces back for another campaign, Orlov now with Sodi ahead of the rest of the pack after 3 rounds of qualifying heats and the super heats the morning before the final. The front row would be a CPP Sodi lockout with Orlov and Kasper Schermans, Tigran Banatian for Formula K, and Juho Valtonen for Birule ART would start on row 2 ahead of 22 laps in Valencia. On the standing starts, Valtonen got away slowly, falling from 4th. A composed run into turn 1 for the CPV Sodis would see Orlov lead from Shermans, while several drivers' finals would be heavily compromised even before turn 2. Behind the leaders, Banatian held 3rd, ahead of a good start for Eli Goldstein. In the second half of the field, all drivers would rejoin after turn 1's incident except Paavo Tonteri. His race for CRG was over on lap 1. With the field mixed up from the earlier incident, Simesvara moved past Russo for 7th place. CPV Sports interests weren't restricted to the top 2. Other team members including Jaden Tyne and Dion von Vieren were looking to further strengthen their squad standing in the race. The early signs for the reigning team's champions looking positive. A move into turn 11 past Jay Irwin would give Tyne 9th place on lap number 2. However, the positives would soon end as the race would turn quickly for the Dutch driver. A puncture ending things prematurely on lap 3, and with it, any openings for championship points were gone. Lap 4 and Kröser makes the move on Matej Proust through turn 8 for a spot inside the top 30. With 18 laps to go, there was plenty to do, as the Praga IPK teammates of Preuss and Matteo Zanchi went wheel to wheel through turns 11 and 12. An entertaining exchange, but a long way from the points. Back at the front of the field, and on lap 6, Maxi Schleimer overtakes Marcus Kayak on the brakes for 5th place. A brave move from the German, who had a spot on the podium in his sights. Birule ART weren't having things all their own way, but Sam Louillet was winning out in a fight with Marcus Scriven on his way up through the field. Britain's Timo Youngling would be out at the end of lap 8. Matej Proust and Kimi Tani would join on the sidelines moments later. The retirement count would stand at 5 at the halfway point. By lap 12, Orlov's lead stood at 1.7 seconds, continuing the strong form from 2024 to be ahead of Shermans, Banatian, Goldstein and Schleimer. Lap 17, and Jenis Civico was still in the hunt for a solid result. The move past Simesvara at turn 11 good for 7th place. There would be more retirements in the second half. Anatoly Khavalkin out on lap 18 to cap off a difficult weekend with damage to the rear right. Back on track, Schleimer makes the move on Goldstein for 4th on the road, which stood to be a potential spot at the podium should there be any issues for any of the drivers ahead. Goldstein had to defend hard to keep his place and his points in a positive drive for TV Kart Racing Team. holding off biggest mover Civico would not be easy. 2 laps to go and Marcus Kayak sends a message to Civico in the fight for 6th on the road. The exchange doesn't end well. Climbing onto the rear bumper and losing momentum, Kayak drops to 9th. Events could have been worse though for Kayak. Moments later, Sirestvar and Civico clash and exit the race with a lap and a half to go. The officials judged the CRG driver to be at fault, but that's of little solace for Civico. The chance for championship points in their home race erased. For Maksim Orlov, back-to-back European Championship wins in rounds were secured. Having changed teams, Orlov starts 25 in the same way he finished 24, a commanding lead over the rest, a perfect weekend scoring maximum championship points available from the races in Spain. The final result in KZ2. Orlov from Benatchen after a jump-start penalty for Shermans. Schleimer makes it onto the podium, Goldstein slots in ahead of Shermans in 4th, solid championship points for Russo, Kayak, Irwin, Luye and Noah Wolf after a frantic final. The top 3 in KZ2, and once again CPB Sport are looking strong this season. Only Tigran Benatchen for Formula K spoiling the party for the French squad. Orlov leaves Spain with a 20 points advantage, a strong position before the season's second round.
Yeah, for sure with Team we work really hard to be on the podium here at Valencia. So yeah, it was a pleasure to be here, and yeah, we just did a good job, I think. Yeah, I liked track at Sarno, so yeah, I hope it will be good, and we will try to find a good setup for this track, and yeah, we will see.
Yeah, he did well. He did very well. I think after qualifying was P15, so he improved already after the heats to P10. And then the final he managed to be P3, which is at the end P2. So yeah, very good improvement from him. We are very happy as the team with him. I hope he's very happy with the team as well. So yeah.
Pretty much was a bit unexpected because in the heats we were struggling quite a bit with the tires throughout the whole weekend. But then in the final, when we put 4 new tires, then I had my pace again, and then finally I could make some moves forward. And yeah, then I ended up in P4, was already happy with that to finally get some points, and yeah, even better when I'm standing on the podium.
Unfortunately, penalty of Sherman, but we know he shows the speeds. He was really fast, good pace, smart race. We still second on championship. Max Orlov first, make amazing driving clean all weekend. It was really good, and free driver in top 5. I'm really proud of the team. To everyone is part of this winning, and now we have to keep going. Last year was only 2 rounds, now it's 3 rounds. So I've continued to keep going to grab the titles.
The class of 2024 in KZ's European Championship knew there would be little margin for error across the 2 scheduled rounds. Round 1 at Motorland Aragon went the way of Senna van Waalstein ahead of reigning champion Danilo Albanese and Lorenzo Travisanuto. The Dutchman's standings lead would come under scrutiny in the final in Italy at Val d'Ibrata, a dramatic final won by David Trevelov for the Maranello team, with a title picture decided by Travisanuto's 2nd place and fastest lap point to win by a single point over Van Waalstein's efforts. Into the first final of 2025, and after 3 qualifying heats and a superheat, a clear picture had emerged, with Birol ART's Pedro Hiltbrand 50 intermediate points ahead of his closest opposition. Jean Nomblo led the charge for Sodi Kart, whilst 2024 KZ World Champion Giuseppe Palomba would start 3rd, alongside Trevelov on the 2nd row of the grid. The stage was set for the first final of the season, 22 laps to decide who would be Valencia's victor. Technical problems for Lorenzo Camplesi at the start. For everyone else, a closely contended run into turn 1. Hiltbrand led into the braking zone, but reigning world champion Palomba would find a route to squeeze through. Hiltbrand would hold 2nd ahead of Trefelov 3rd, and a squabbling pack doing their best to make it through a crowded pinch point of turns 3 and 4. Jean Nomblo, in difficulty and out of the flow of traffic, quickly found himself out of the top 10. Going the other way, Adrian Malheiro and Christian Bertucca gained positions in the top 5, ahead of 2024 runner-up Senna van Ralstein in 6th. Later on lap 1, Trefilov loses out to Malheiro and is quickly thrust into a 3-way scrap with Bertucca and van Ralstein. Early progress is key to keep up with the likes of Palombo and Hiltbrand at the front of the field. A scary moment for Bertucca running wide out of turn 14, who does very well to keep himself in the race. Lap 2 in disaster for Van Ralstein. A mechanical failure puts him out of the race and on the back foot in the championship. With the Dutch driver having suffered from mechanical problems in previous seasons, will this be the moment Sodikart look back on come the end of the campaign? Lap 3 and Hiltbrand heads past Palombo into turn 1. 2 experienced heads at the front of the field. Unfortunately for Francesco Celenta, a spin out of the final chicane drops the Italian down the order for Sodikart. A testing weekend for the Italian squad, but a top 10 finish isn't impossible. Turn 11 sees its fair share of drama. Lap 4, Maren Krimers and Jean Noblo clash in their battle over 8th place. Lap 6, Hiltbrand has pulled away from Palombo, who's now in the clutches of Malheiro. Malheiro makes the move at turn 11 to make it a host nation 1-2 with around 2/3 of the race to go. Elsewhere, the Krimers-Noblo affair ends in retirement for both. Understandably, neither best pleased with how their finals have ended. Halfway through the race, and it's Bertucca's turn to attack the reigning world champion. Hard on the brakes into the hairpin is where Bertucca goes for it. A move perhaps not expected by the Maranello driver into turn 11. Contact between the two results in minor damage to the front of the number 5 cart. By lap 19, Hiltbrand, Malheiro and Bertucca all have their podium positions under control. 2022 world champion Victor Gustafsson moves past Spurgel for 6th place. Onto the final lap, Bertucca hasn't given up on taking 2nd place from Malheiro. Fresh off winning the KZ2 World Cup last year, it has been an impressive run from Bertucca, but unfortunately on this occasion, not quite enough to make it a Birel ART 1-2 in the final. However, for Pedro Hiltbrand, the wait for a first FIA KZ victory was finally over. A truly dominant drive on home soil, giving the former OK world champion one of his biggest victories to date, with fantastic speed and setup work from the Birel ART team, made even sweeter by his Spanish supporters. The final result in KZ, Hiltbrand takes a first FIA victory since June 2017. Malheiro makes it a Spanish 1-2 ahead of Bertucca in 3rd. Palombo and Trefilov will look to build with results in the top 5. Gustafsson, Spurgel, Vasile Lue and Denner all a finish in the top 10. Smiles all round on the podium in Spain. A double podium for Birel ART indicates they are back on form, with Bertucca stepping up. A proud 2nd place for Adrian Malheiro deserves full credit, and party time for Pedro, with a 27-point lead over teammate Bertucca heading into round 2.
Yeah, amazing weekend. I mean, I have to thank Birel and TM for the hard work. Many things changed from last weekend, so we improved a lot. I just can say thank you to them. Fantastic weekend since the quali, pole position, or the heat, super heat final. I mean, so happy in front of all my people here in Spain. So happy to win at home. Now we have to keep pushing for Sano.
No, I am surprised with the result, but I think I improved a lot around the weekend, and for me it's very good result.
Yeah, I'm feeling really good with the team, especially today after a long week. For sure we did a lot of hard work through all the weekend, and the speed and the pace have been shown today in the final. We could have been better yesterday throughout all the heats, because I made some mistakes. I was not really confident with myself, with the chassis, but team supported me through all the day, and they make me feel okay and confident for today, and surely setup was okay, so the pace was there, and we could make a P3. That maybe with some less little mistakes in the start could have been a 1-2 Birel ART.
This week was very long, was very hard, and last week also the pre-race was not super for us, but we changed some things, we improved a lot the speed, also the pace during the race, and Pedro do an amazing job. and also Christian, but with some mistake we lost some position for the start. If no, I think we do 1-2 today. We miss also Vasile because lost some speed during the weekend, but I think have the chance to come back very strong for the next one.
With the first round in the record books, attention quickly turns to the next chapter for the likes of Maël Le Marchand to see who can grow with speed and confidence through the rest of the season. In KZ2, Maksim Orlov looks to be the driver to beat, his 2025 season getting off to a much better start than 2024, and with CPB Sports, his form doesn't look like slowing down. In KZ, a long-awaited victory for Pedro Hiltbrand shows exactly what is required in the sport. With experience, perseverance, speed and the drive to win, the next question, can Hiltbrand convert his home form into rounds elsewhere in Europe? Next up for KZ, the stunning scenery of Sarno in Italy in mid-June. We hope to see you there.